Well, good evening. Back with our elaborate set here. Russ couldn't join us this week because he's away on business, so we're handling it alone. I will say it'll be an abbreviated show if we don't get a lot of calls because I don't have a lot to talk about. It's over. It's done. The election has gone by, and I'm glad because I was getting pretty tired of it, pretty tired of the speculations and everything else. And everybody's, well, this is going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen until it does happen. And obviously, uh, there was some that had it right. But overall, if you want to look in general election, I think that Trump actually did well. He couldn't go to congressional districts. You're talking a lot of congressional districts, 435 of them anyway. So to go to do congressional districts almost totally impossible. So you have to go by Senate. Oh, and by the way, Joy Behar on that show, that crazy show that they have in the mornings, she said that the senatorial race was gerrymandered. That is the dumbest statement that anyone in the world could possibly make. That is so stupid. How do you gerrymander a statewide election? Hello? It's not districts. It's not congressional districts. It's not House districts. It's the whole state. You can't change the border. You can't gerrymander the border of a state. You can't gerrymander the districting. Gerrymandering is done at the House level, at the House and at the state level because those are districts. In fact, District 2, which is part of us, is gerrymandered. The Democrats set the districts in Massachusetts because they hold the power. They're the ones that have the total control of the Senate and the House. And the last time we had redistricting, the Republicans gave them what would be a fair district, and they just threw it out. They took, so that Jim McGovern would be guaranteed to get in, they give him Amherst. Amherst it's part of Western Mass. It should be in District 1. No, they give it to Jim McGovern because they guaranteed him a very heavy liberal vote. So he's not going to, because Worcester County was becoming too red for him. Now, Worcester County didn't go too red yesterday, but there again, a lot of changes. A lot of students voted. A lot of students who only live in Worcester County temporarily while they're going to school. In fact, there's another play that goes out there. They'll vote here, go home over the weekend prior, do an absentee ballot, and vote there. That happens all the time with the younger ones, with a lot of the college students. They actually have a way of, they do it, they actually have setups to show them how to do it. So they're voting in multiple locations. They had a situation where they found people from Massachusetts voting in Mass and Florida because they have residents down there. So that stuff goes on all the time. That's why, they say, well, you need to show voter ID. Well, they don't want to do that because then they won't be able to get all those extra votes. Well, anyway, this is Town Talk. We want to get down to Northbridge. And Northbridge, pretty much, you got to say that Jeff Deal did carry Northbridge. All right? Charlie Baker carried everything. There's no two ways about that. I mean, he just overwhelmed everywhere. Gonzalez was saying prior, well, I think there will be some surprises. Well, there were no surprises. Few write-ins, as you can see. And, not a lot, but some blanks. And the blanks were there because people just couldn't agree with either one of them. But then down the line, look at, you go, Maura Healey actually took Northbridge, which I'm surprised about because I thought Jim McMahon was pretty popular out this way. We had him on, and Galvin, but Amore didn't run much of a campaign, and then you had the third-party candidate in there. Same with Quito Oreo. She didn't run a very high campaign, and probably because the money just wasn't there. I got to say, Jen Casey, once again, she does extremely well. Has, in fact, at one time, while Duvall was governor, she was the highest ranking elected Republican in the state. So she does all right for herself. There's no doubt there. Ryan Fatman did well. Michael Moore, well, he had no challenger, but got over 1,000 blanks, so people just said, hey, look, he got no challenger, I'm just going to leave it blank. That does happen. Same with Dave Meridian. He actually got more blanks than, but he's actually in all 4 precincts, so that's how he would end up getting more blanks. Joe Early did extremely well, even though he's got a lot of controversy hanging over him, but people must have forgot about it. It really didn't make that much news, and that's the situation where the judge's daughter got arrested for drunk driving and drugs and everything else, and she got off the hook because he went and told the police colonel that he wanted the report to be changed to help the judge out. But people can look at it that way, I guess. Joanne Powell came close to beating McManus in Northbridge, but didn't pull it off. But I'm saying that Kate Campanello did take Northbridge. We're not going to go all the way down the line here. That's about it. We get into the schools. The big thing in Northbridge, though, question 1 failed. I figured it would because people didn't know what to do there, and they said, well, I'm not sure what's the best way to go. I'm just going to say no, that's the easiest way out. The other 2, I don't know if they really understood them. My own concern is question 2, the more you bring government into controlling things, the worse it gets. And that's what that is, more government control. And that I'm dead against, because the more government gets involved, the more problems you have. And same with the transgender. I don't really understand it. But I haven't heard of anybody ever getting arrested for going into the men going into the ladies' room. I'd never heard of it, and it happened in the past. Believe me, it happened well before this law came about, and no one's ever I never heard of anybody getting arrested and convicted of it. You did have a situation a number of years ago, probably about 10, 15 years ago now, probably more, on Route 25 in, I think it was in Bridgewater. There's on Route 25, there's a Burger King, and the woman went into the ladies' room and was followed in by a man who ended up stabbing and attempting to rape her, killed her. We didn't have that law then, so he went in. It didn't matter. If they want to do it, they're going to do it. You've had that. I know it's happened in the past in places, but all they do is they throw them out. They don't. So everybody doesn't care now. Hey, well, if the ladies don't care if the men are going to be next door, then fine. That's what they said. But the big question, of course, in Northbridge was question 4. And 273 blanks did they not understand, or was it that they didn't turn over the ballot? Because you had to turn it over to see the questions. So I'm thinking it's a possibility that those 273 people never even turned the ballot over, and that's how it ended up blank. Because how could you not have opinion on whether to vote yes or no on question 4? It was pretty cut and dry, and it's pretty close to 2-1 there. So it's an overwhelming win. My former co-host, who will probably call now and complain in the back, he said, no way, no way. I said, look, that was an overwhelming vote at town meeting. I think they're going to pull this off. No way, when them elderly people get out there and vote. Well, I don't know what the breakdown is on the vote, but we're talking over 6,000 people voting, so it was a big turnout. I don't know how it broke down as to who voted no and who voted yes. We have a lot of elderly in town, and I think if they would have overwhelmingly voted no on the school, it wouldn't have passed. But that didn't happen. So get ready, you know, your taxes are going to go up. Simple as that. I believe that they set the rate in January, so when you get your tax bill next year, it'll have the increase on it. And they will be starting before then, because they got to get this school up by 2021. You know, we're getting close. It's going to take time to build, so you know, you'll see that going. But if anybody wants to call and give me their comment on how they feel about what happened, and you know, you say the elderly would be against it, but if you're living in elderly housing, it's not going to affect you. If it's subsidized elderly housing, it's definitely not going to affect you. If you live on Colonial Drive, on Wake Street, the Rockdale House, it's not going to affect you. Rent's not going to change. In some cases, I don't believe they pay taxes on the Colonial Drive, so it's part of the housing authority. I don't believe the housing authority pays any taxes to the town. It's through state housing, so there might be a payment in lieu of taxes. State generally pays. If the state has property within your community, they make a payment to the town in lieu of taxes. But it's not affected by the tax rate as far as I know. So, and we're still going to have the lowest taxes in the valley, lowest tax rate in the valley. Now, the ones that are really going to get hurt are the ones that live in the real high echelon housing. When you're up there in the over 500,000, you're going to feel it a lot harder than the people at the lower end. But in that case, I believe those are a lot of the people that have students in the school system or coming up eventually, you know, young children that'll be starting in the system that'll get to use this school. And they probably say, look, I'll bite the bullet and eat it. But I know, and it's talked about all the time by real estate agents will tell you, schools and the condition of the system makes a difference on the value of your home. If you're not planning to sell your home, well, you don't care what the value is, because you're not selling it. What do you care if it's worth more or less? In fact, you like it to be worth less, because then you're going to pay less taxes. You're not selling it, so what do you care? If you plan on moving, if you're young people, and a lot of young people with their jobs, they're only going to be here a few years and they're moving on, well, they'd like to see the valuations go up, because then they're going to get more for their house when they do sell it. So they might have looked at it from that standpoint. But I got to say, something had to be done. I think if the opposition would have came up with a more of an alternative plan, I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was something in that handout in the Blackstone Valley Tribune that talked about doing something with the middle school, which now, by the way, are we going to be hit next year or in 2 years? We won't have another state election for 2 years. I think that you won't see an override tried again they've been tried at town election. We have a town election every year. Every May there's a town election. Because town offices run out every year. But with the state, you only have an election every 2 years on an even year. So there won't be another election. There'll be a presidential year, and that's 2020. Are we going to be hit that year for another override for a new middle school? Because we keep hearing that there's problems in a middle school, that part of the school where the roof leaks, the ceiling is coming down. They had problems with the boiler earlier this season, where they had no heat. Is that going to be the next thing we're going to hear, that we're going to need a new middle school? And don't forget, the high school now is over 20 years old. Are we going to be told we need to remodel the high school because now it's out of date? No. The school budget is tight every year. It runs, by the time they meet payroll and whatever else they got to, supplies they need and things just for the standard everyday operation of the school, there's nothing left for maintenance and things like that. Oh, by the way, and we're going to get hit with a double increase because the CPA, Conservative Preservation Act, or something like that. The Preservation Act is going into effect, and that's a 2% increase on your taxes right there, which is what they settled on. It could have been higher, but they went with 2%. So that's going to be coming on the tax rate. The override is going to be, so we're going to have somewhat of an increase there, and I don't know exactly how much, but obviously we didn't know exactly how much on the school, because in their defense, I do recall them talking about this graduated decrease, you might say, that it started out high and then after 15 years it drops. Well, no one could understand what that was about. It was very confusing. So what they chose to go with was an average out over the 30 years. And that is a long time paying. The high school was 20 years. We got it paid off in 15. I don't think we'll see the Obama school paid off in 15. I don't think we'll see it paid off. I don't think we'll see it paid off before 30 years, which makes you wonder how many of us are going to be around to see it paid off. So that is where the elderly get affected too. I mean, this is going to be a lifetime payment in all likelihood, because 30 years, myself, I'd have to be 100 years old to see it paid off. So who knows what's going to happen there. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to hit with another one because we got another situation. I mean, these are questions that are still out there. The DPW fire station, that's got to be resolved. I mean, that's been going on for how many years now? And they're not going to remodel the building they're in, because the building they're in is starting to deteriorate. And to remodel, you're not going to put a new top on your convertible if the engine's gone. So they're not going to remodel the building. They're going to find a new place. Well, where's that going to take place, and what's that going to cost? And there's another addition to your tax rate. So we may not see this end for some time. We got a lot of things coming up. The DPW might say, we got a nice new building, but it's still not sufficient for to maintain what we got to do in the future. And I think, I can foresee them coming back again for something. Well, for new, it's going to be new equipment, obviously. There could be another override to continue the road repairs, like we did the last time. People didn't mind that, but now you're going to have that added on to what is already going to be an increase. These are all things that are still up in the air, and we have to see what takes place. Well, we got a call coming. I don't know. sometimes we get calls, but then they don't forward them because they don't want to go on the air. And don't be, I don't tell anybody who you are. We do have caller ID, but we don't announce who's calling unless they don't mind. But yeah, there's a lot of things that are going to be taking place in the next few years, and oh, we do have a call. Okay. Go ahead, Carl. You're on.
How you doing, Harry?
Hey, I know how you voted.
Yeah, pretty good. I was just calling. You just mentioned about the maintenance thing.
Yes.
Are you going to tell us that if there's no maintenance, we're going to end with the school they're building now? If they don't have maintenance on that, what are we going to be talking about? Another school to replace that one?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they're claiming that the budget doesn't really allow much leeway for maintenance because most of it goes to, plus the majority of the budget goes to salaries because you have a lot of employees. And then, you know, they got to buy supplies, they need certain things. I mean, you have to run, you have to pay for busing, things like that. There's not a lot of money left to do the maintenance.
Well, I'll tell you what. They better just figure something out because don't ask me to keep paying for schools if they're not going to take care of them. And I think this is getting a little ridiculous.
Well, I mean,
and then you're saying we got still got the lowest tax rate. Well, what you just said, the things they're looking for, we ain't going to have the lowest tax rate pretty soon. We'll be having the highest tax rate.
well, you know that there are going to be things in the future that are going to come up. We still haven't resolved the fire station issue.
Yeah, I know it.
Okay.
We should have thought of that first.
And look at the roads. They've done pretty good with the roads, but there's still a long way to go. And that original debt exclusion for the roads, that's used up now.
Yeah, I know that. We're talking, when you're talking, if you're fixing a road, the money is not as big. You're talking about a new school. 30 years, I'm not going to be here because I'll be 102.
Well, you might be
if I'm
here.
here for it, that'd be great. But I don't think I'll be around for that.
Well, you never know.
And you know, it's just the idea. And I know what you're saying about. But if they were really upfront with what they said about the tax rate, they never told us it was going to be $2.59, not $1.85. That's what bothers me. Not the idea that I'm going to end up paying. The idea is they should have told us right off the bat. Because when were they going to tell us? After we got a tax bill?
Well, the thing is,
To me, they hid it and they didn't want to tell us.
no, they meant. I remember them talking about it originally, but no one could understand what it was about because it was.
Well, if you would have told me $2.59 and $1.85, I think I would have understood it.
But what they're saying is it's not $2.59 for the person who's going to pay for 30 years because it drops down considerably in the second half.
Yeah, well, for 15 years, it's not going to be $1.85, right?
Right.
That's what they should have told us right off the bat. Be honest. And that's the problem with all of this stuff now. Nobody's honest. So the next time they ask for something, I might have a hard time voting for it.
Well, I know where they're coming from. They did with the high school, and they were able to pay the high school off in 15 years because of it, because of the way they did it.
I'm still a little upset. I know they're going to pay it. It doesn't really matter. But I just didn't like the way they handled it.
But my thing is that, don't forget, we keep hearing things coming out of the middle school about problems there.
Well, don't ask for another school in 2 years, because definitely that would not go.
And, we got problems with other buildings in town, too. They finally got the town hall fairly decent, but that's over 100 years old.
Yeah, the Palmer School is 50 years old.
Yeah.
Right? We got buildings that are older that are in better shape than the Palmer School is.
Well, Russ Collins' makes a good point on that. They built it on a swamp.
Yeah, they didn't want to build it there in the first place, but somehow it got through.
Right.
So what makes you think the school's not going to be built on the swamp now?
Well, the whole place was a swamp. It was filled in.
So that's what I'm saying. So you're gonna put a brand new school on an area that they know is not that good.
If you look at the Whiten Woods there, the housing development, right?
Yeah.
That was all wetlands.
Yeah. Well, they got away with it then.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they were able to get around it, but remember they had to put sewer in because the septic systems weren't working.
Oh, they never work. Not when it's already wet.
Right. Same thing
What?
happened. The same thing happened at the bottom of Benson Road. People won't remember that because that was in the late '70s that they did the bottom of Benson Road. But those houses had the same situation. You know, they got in there and then it was too wet, and the septic systems were failing. Of course, there were small lots to begin with, but you could do it back then.
Well, anyway, just one more question. This amount of money for this school, is that written in stone, or could there be something that we might have to pay more for?
Well, there's always a chance of overruns on any construction project. You know
Yeah,
that.
I know that.
There's also a chance of coming in lower.
Well, that's what we hope for.
Right. But
Well, anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest because
well,
and what it is what it is.
right. The election's over. I will say though, overall, this election, you don't see anybody out in the street protesting. You don't see them crying like we had in 2 years ago. You know, the losers this time take it like an adult.
Yeah. I hope everybody picks their signs up.
I'll tell you what. That's what I did this morning.
Oh, did you?
Any signs I put out are picked up.
Oh, that's good.
But I'll guarantee you that there'll be signs out there a year from now that won't be picked up.
You got that right. Well, anyway, Harry. Hey, have a happy Veterans Day.
Yes, this Sunday.
Yeah, that's right.
By the way, there's a breakfast at the middle school. In the middle school, at the cafeteria.
Yeah, the 8th graders put it on.
Yeah, for all
I
veterans.
might go last year. I might go this year.
Yeah, veterans and their wives or families. Are you going to be going?
I'm going to try. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what time that is?
Oh.
8 o'clock, isn't it?
8 to 10 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, they give it. But yeah, it's a pretty neat thing.
It is. I don't know if I can make it because I got too many things going on. I got my own maintenance problems.
Well, I'm not going to pay for that one.
No. Well, I like to bill you for it.
Yeah. Okay, Harry. Take
All right.
care.
See you later, Tom.
Yep. Be good.
Goodbye. Yeah, it is something to think about. That who knows what the future is going to bring, and but you have that problem with within your own house, your own household. You know, you have things that break, and hopefully you can handle it. Well, here we got no choice. We got something broken, and we got to handle it. And that's why I said, you know, a lot of people, something's got to be done, and I think that's why it passed overwhelmingly. Is they made a good argument as we've got problems here. Something's got to be done. What do we do? What's the cheapest route to go? What's the best route to go? I think it was put out there. I mean, you can't say that the information wasn't out there. It was put out there in numbers. I mean, big numbers. So, well, we're gonna cut out early because Russ is not here, and we really have much more to talk about. Russ will be back next week. I will be on tomorrow night. My guest is Paul Linsky from the I can't think of the name of the organization, but what they do is they help to find scholarships and funding for students for higher education, for your college, university educations. And we're going to be talking about that because this is the time of year now. It sounds early, but November is when the graduates for 2019 have to start looking for where they're going to go to school and where they're going to get the money to pay for it. Mom and dad are running out of money. Now they're going to have less money because their taxes are going up. So we're going to be talking about that with Paul Linsky tomorrow night on About the Valley. And also, we have a version of About the Valley on WCRN 8:30 a.m. radio at 6 a.m. on Sunday mornings. And so you can tune into that as well. And that's going to be, we're going to be moving up on that one to a Sunday afternoon soon. And we're going to do a rebroadcast of our Thursday night show. Well, anyway, we'll see you tomorrow night on About the Valley. And next week with Russ.